let's take a look at how you can create projects and then add your seed keywords and get started generating some keyword ideas. We're also going to take a look at some of the filtering that you can do to really customize that list to fit whatever it is you're trying to do. So projects are up here at the very top left, and I can create a new project by clicking on the yellow plus sign. I'll go with that for now. You can also select your language and the country that you're targeting, click on create project, and you're done. All that a project does for you is just a way for you to organize things however you would like. So one way might be if you're working on multiple websites at one time, you could have different categories for the different websites. So what's going to happen is that all the keywords that you look for and generate, they'll stay in that section, in that project. So later on, you can go back and look at one project at a time rather than having everything in one enormous group, unless that's how you prefer to do it. Certainly you can do everything in one big project if you'd like to. So now that I've added a project, the next step is to add some keywords to that project. So when I click on find keywords, it's going to look something like this. It's going to ask for me to add a seed keyword here under the Google Keyword Planner. And these are just idea starters. So what is it I'm looking for? What kind of site do I have? And you can always come back and add more later. But initially, maybe starting with 5 or 10 seed keywords, and then letting Longtail Platinum, using the Google integration, generate some keyword ideas for you around that high-level idea that you put in here. So assuming I have an outdoor site, let's say I want to do backpacking, camping, I'll do camp supplies, I'll do camp games, just for fun. All right, and so with any of these, I can go and expand the keyword here, and then I've got an include and an exclude field. And so as that sounds, I'm able to set a rule ahead of time to say I only want to see things that include the word backpack, for instance, and I'll leave that there. That way, anything that doesn't have the word backpack in it, it's just going to leave it out of your list. So I can pre-filter that way. Another thing I can do down at the bottom, we're going to do a separate video about adding my own keywords, which is a Platinum feature. But down at the bottom, I've got customized data and pre-filter. So let's take a look at each one of these things and some other things that you can do. Now, any of these would be across all of your seed keywords. So I have 5 seed keywords up there. So anything I set down here would be applying to all 5 of those. Just wanted to point that out. Any one of them, you can click on the little question mark icon and get some more details, and it'll kind of explain what that means. Suggested bid used to be called cost per click. And so that's a dollar amount that's set by Google, and we pull the data from Google. If you're using AdSense to monetize your site, it kind of helps you understand how much each click might be worth to you. So if somebody clicks an ad on your site, if that ad was about credit cards or debt relief or something like that, those clicks are probably very expensive. People are paying a lot of money for those ads. Whereas if it was a food recipe site, the clicks might be a lot lower, 10 cents, 20 cents per click, something like that. So if you were just, searching out a niche and trying to see what, how much advertising is going on and how much people are spending, you could put in a dollar amount here. I could say only show me things that are over $1 per click, something like that as a suggested bid, or you could just leave it empty and it's going to show you everything. The local search volume, that's referring to your local country. So in my case, the United States. If you wanted to say it, only show me things that get searched at least 200 times a month, or set a range, somewhere between 200 and 2,000 times a month, you could do that. And again, it'll filter out anything that doesn't fit that criteria, so you don't have to spend time going through stuff that you're not really interested in seeing. The advertiser competition, again, if you want a full explanation, you can click on the question mark here. But this is, again, a Google thing that we pull in to say, how many advertisers are competing for that space. And so high, would be those really competitive things. So when you're thinking about monetization and things like that, you may want to filter out, only see the highly competitive ones or only low competitive words there. But by default, you probably just leave those all checked, at least to start out with, as you're kind of getting comfortable with some of the ideas and narrowing down, keyword ideas in your niche. And then next is the number of keywords. Now this is unchecked by default, but if I wanted to say only show me things that have at least 3 words in the phrase, how to do whatever, it has 4+ words in it, I could do that. So sometimes this is a good way to find those really long keyword phrases, something that's really specific. So if you'd like to set that, you can, and everything else will not be shown to you. I also just want to point out at this point that even if I don't set that there, after I've generated my keywords, I have the ability to filter afterwards as well. So for a lot of these, you may just want to leave them as is, and then when you generate your keywords and really dive in, then I could say, okay, let me only see the things that have at least 5 words in the phrase. And then everything else will just disappear and you don't have to look through it. So you don't necessarily have to make this decision right now. The other things are the global search volume, and as it suggests, it's talking about worldwide search volume for the term. So if I check this box, again, I can set a minimum and maximum for that. The domain availability, so if you're looking for an exact match domain, so if I was saying, best dog food, let's just say that was the keyword, best dog food, this would show me, I could turn it on for each extension here, let's say .com, .net, .org, the system will search and see if bestdogfood.com, bestdogfood.net, bestdogfood.org. It'll tell me whether or not those domains are available. So if you're interested in that, simply check this box, pick the ones that you want to see, and Longtail Pro will search for that for you. And then the Google title competition. If you want to set this up, this will take a little bit longer to run because there's a lot of data to pull in. But basically what that does, it'll give you a number, and again, whatever the keyword is, so let's just say best dog food again, just as an example, and it'll tell you how many of the Google results actually have that exact phrase, best dog food, in the page title that's ranking. So you can do a little bit of digging on that. It's maybe a little bit more advanced if you're not familiar with it. And again, it'll take some time to run, but you do have that option, and it kind of gives you an idea. The point of that is to show you a little bit about the depth of the results there. Are there just hundreds and thousands of pages that have that phrase in their title? Might suggest that there's a ton of results that are already focused on that topic, or if it's a really low number, might suggest, hey, there's not overall, there's not that many pages that are really focused on this particular keyword. So that's sort of how you can use that. But again, that's something that even if you don't want to fetch it right now and you're trying to decide later on, you can always do it after the fact. So I could go ahead and generate these keywords and then come back and say, let's go ahead and pull the Google title competition for this, and the system can do it that way as well. So once you've preset any of the filtering that you want to do, the next step is simply just to click on generate keywords and fetch data, and Longtail Pro will start doing its thing. All right, so I paused the screen there for just a minute or so, and Longtail Pro did go ahead and generate all of the keyword ideas based on my seed keywords that I had inputted. You'll see that by default it shows you all keywords, so all 5 that I'd added, it kind of groups those all together, and I have just over 3,000 results from that. And then I can go to each one individually. So if I just wanted to see the keywords that came back from what I had put in backpacking as my first seed keyword, and if you remember, I had also said that each one would have to include the word backpack. So I only have 353 results here, and that's part of the reason why is I put that stipulation there. But just briefly, I was just going to follow up on the filtering point I made earlier. So any of the filters that I didn't do initially, I can come back and do them here. So if I click on all keywords again, up at the top, if I wanted to do a quick filter of this list and say only show me things that include the word hiking, I can do that, and it shows me 39 of my 3,000 plus actually match that filter. Okay, so now every word I see includes hiking. And I can follow the same steps there. So if I say best, 70 of the 3,000. And again, you can look through it that way. So that's a quick way to do it. You can do it with all of these column headers up here. So the suggested bid that I talked about, if I wanted to go ahead and filter that now, I could. Local searches, only show me everything that's searched at least 1,000 times a month. I can do that. Now I see that 861 of my 3,000 plus meet this filter. So you can do some filtering after the fact as well. The final thing that I wanted to point out was some of the other filtering options that we saw a moment ago. I can bring those up again too. So if I click on this menu icon here up in the top right corner, I'm able to select and deselect the columns that I'm seeing here. So let's just say that advertiser competition wasn't something I really cared about seeing on my list. I uncheck the box and it goes away. Let's say that number of keywords in the phrase was something I wanted to see. I check that box and now it shows up, and I can just click on the little, or just click away from that and it'll go away for me. But what that lets me do is it lets me set a minimum, maximum of a number of keywords like I talked about before. So if I go to all keywords, and let's just say I wanted to only see things that have at least 5 words in the phrase, I just type in a 5 there, and now you can see suddenly I've got 108 options of things that have 5 or more words in them. And so it's really helpful. I like that personally. It's a great way to see some longer phrases, and a lot of times you can find some real gems when you do that. So that's a nice one to have in your columns there. But any of the filtering options can all be found under this menu. So be sure to don't miss that and take advantage of those, any ones that you want and would like to use for your searches. In the next video, we're going to go into a deeper dive about how to analyze keywords, what makes a good keyword, what makes low competition, high competition, etc. So if you're interested in learning more about that, be sure and check out video number 3.